I learned to never trust apologies made in front of cameras, especially when the person doesn't know they are being recorded. That night, he raised his hand in the middle of the congratulatory crowd, and a camera the size of my thumb saw everything. The only thing I regret is that it took me so long to realize respect isn't begged for, it requires boundaries. Standing there with my nursing degree in one hand and bruises forming on my face, I knew the tiny device clipped to my lapel had just become my shield. He thought he'd won by humiliating me at my own graduation party, but he had no idea who was watching. My name is Lena Hart, and I never thought at 34 I'd be back in my childhood bedroom, staring at the same water stain on the ceiling while my 10-year-old twins slept on air mattresses beside me. But divorce has a way of rearranging your life like a tornado through a trailer park. Just temporary, Mom had said when I showed up with Miles and Ava. Our whole life packed into a rented U-Haul until you get back on your feet. That was 8 months ago. The thing about moving back with your parents is that you become a child again in their eyes. It doesn't matter that I work 12-hour shifts at North Cross Children's Center, managing fours and monitoring vitals for kids fighting everything from pneumonia to leukemia. It doesn't matter that I've kept 2 humans alive and mostly happy for a decade. In this house, I'm still the girl who needs to be told to turn the lights off when I leave a room. Mom, can you keep it down? My stepfather, Caleb, would bark if Miles practiced his sketching with the TV on, even at a whisper volume. But when my younger brother, Jared, cranked up ESPN for his buddies during poker night, it was, boys will be boys. The favoritism wasn't subtle, it was a neon sign flashing in my face every damn day. When Jared and his wife, Paige, had their first baby 3 months after I moved in, the house transformed overnight. My kids' drawings came down from the refrigerator, replaced by ultrasound photos and daycare calendars. The spare room I'd hoped to move the twins into became a nursery shrine. Even the kitchen schedule revolved around baby Hudson's feeding times. We are all family here, Mom would say. But family apparently had tiers, and mine was firmly at the bottom. I started the Iron to BSN program at Riverton Community College, partly to increase my salary, but mostly to have somewhere to go after my shifts where I wasn't made to feel like a burden. 3 nights a week, I'd sit in those fluorescent-lit classrooms, learning about healthcare policy and evidence-based practice, pretending my life wasn't held together with coffee and stubbornness. Another degree. Caleb had scoffed when he saw my textbooks. Didn't the first one teach you to keep a husband? I bit my tongue so hard it bled, counted to 10, then 20, reminding myself that this was temporary, that every course credit was a step closer to affording our own place again. The unwritten rules of the Rowan household were clear. My kids' noise was intolerable, baby Hudson's screaming was just what babies do. I paid $400 monthly for our room and board. Jared lived rent-free to save for Hudson's future. The twins' activities were negotiable, and family dinners around Jared's schedule were mandatory. My 12-hour shifts were abandoning my children. Caleb's golf weekends were well-deserved breaks. The refrigerator told the whole story. Once covered in Ava's piano recital programs and Miles's comic strips, it was now a monument to Hudson's every milestone. First smile, first tooth, first time he spit up on Grandpa Caleb, which was somehow adorable instead of disgusting like when my kids were babies. It's not forever, I whispered to Miles one night after Caleb complained his sketching pencils were too noisy. I know, Mom, he said, but his eyes were too old, too understanding for a 10-year-old. That's when I knew I had to do more than just dream about leaving. I had to plan it, execute it, make it real. Every insult became fuel, every eye roll, every dismissive wave of Caleb's hand, every time Mom chose silence over defending us, it all went into my mental vault labeled, remember this when you want to give up. I was building something they couldn't see. With every completed assignment, every clinical hour logged, every point earned toward my BSN, I was constructing our escape route, one brick at a time. They thought they knew who I was, the divorced daughter who couldn't make it on her own, the single mom taking up too much space, the family failure camping out in their spare room. They had no idea who I was becoming. The text came while I was checking meds at the nurse's station. Great news. Contractor starting Monday. Will crash at mom's for 6 to 8 weeks, tops. Already talked to Caleb. He's cool with it. My hands shook as I reread Jared's message. It wasn't, would it be okay, or let's discuss this. It was just done, decided, like I was furniture to be rearranged. When I got home that night, Caleb was already measuring the basement. Perfect solution, he announced without looking up. Kids can camp down here while Jared's family takes your room. Baby needs proper windows. The basement floods when it rains, I said. And Miles has mild asthma. The dampness. Kids are resilient. You coddle them too much. I stared at the man who'd raised his voice when Ava practiced scales for 15 minutes, but thought nothing of displacing us to an unfinished basement that smelled like mildew and broken promises. It's unsafe, I tried again. There's no proper ventilation. The stairs are steep. And my house, my rules, he straightened up, all 6 feet of contractor muscle and stepfather authority. You don't like it. Door's right there. Mom hovered in the doorway, wringing her hands. Now, Caleb, maybe we could, it's decided, Evelyn. The baby needs a proper nursery environment. Doctor said so. No doctor had said any such thing, but Mom nodded as if he'd quoted scripture. She always did when Caleb used that tone. That night, I called Valerie from the hospital parking lot during my break. Is your couch offer still good, girl? Yes. But what happened? I told her about the basement plan. The silence on her end stretched so long I checked if we'd disconnected. That's abuse, she finally said. You know that, right? Did I? When you're neck deep in quicksand, it's hard to see how far you've sunk. I need to get us out, I said. But I need time. My credit's shot from the divorce, and I know a property manager who might work with you. And there's that new graduate bonus coming next month, when you finish the BSN. A plan. Finally, a real plan. Over the next few weeks, I became a ghost in my own life. Days at the hospital, evenings in class, late nights filling out rental applications, and squirreling away every penny. I opened a separate bank account at a credit union across town, depositing cash from extra shifts. Meanwhile, the house transformed into Planet Jared. His tools in the garage, Paige's organic baby food taking over the kitchen, their arguments echoing through walls while my kids learned to walk on eggshells. Mom, Aunt Paige said my clarinet practice gives the baby headaches, Ava told me one evening, her instrument case clutched to her chest. And Uncle Jared said my drawings are depressing, Miles added. He threw away my zombie comic. Something inside me crystallized into diamond-hard resolve. You can push me around. You can make me feel small, but you don't come for my kids. Now we have a problem. I found the rental listing on a Wednesday, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a small yard in the Riverside School District. The landlord, Mr. Patel, was willing to work with my situation. First month, last month, and security deposit can be split into 2 payments. When can you move in? He asked. November 1st, I said, calculating frantically. That gave me 6 weeks to save the rest, to finish my degree, to plan the exit without triggering Caleb's radar. I'll hold it, Mr. Patel said. You remind me of my daughter. She's a fighter, too. I signed the lease in the parking lot of a McDonald's, using the hood of my car as a desk. As I wrote my name on that dotted line, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months, hope. Back at the house, I smiled through dinners where Caleb explained how my poor life choices led to my situation. I nodded when Paige suggested my kids were acting out for attention. I bit my tongue when Mom mentioned how nice it was that Hudson would have cousins close by to grow up with. They thought my silence was submission. Really, it was strategy. Every insult, every dismissive comment, every time they made my children feel less than, I documented it all in a notebook hidden in my work locker. Not for court, not yet. But for me, for the nights when I wondered if I was overreacting, being too sensitive, making mountains out of molehills like Caleb always claimed. The notebook didn't lie. The patterns were clear as X-rays: isolation, financial control, emotional manipulation, gaslighting, classic tactics, dressed up as family concern. Just 6 more weeks became my mantra. 6 weeks until keys in my hand. 6 weeks until my kids could breathe again. 6 weeks until I could stop pretending this was normal. The boundary lines hadn't just shifted, they'd been completely redrawn with my family on the outside. But that was fine. I was drawing my own map now. The email arrived during my lunch break. Congratulations. You are cordially invited to the BSN pinning ceremony on November 10th. I read it 3 times, letting the words sink in like medicine. Finally, Valerie squealed when I showed her. Girl, we're celebrating. I can't, I said. Every dollar goes to the escape fund. She studied me with those sharp nurse eyes that miss nothing. When's the move? November 1st, 10 days before graduation. Cutting it close. Story of my life. That evening, I made the mistake of sharing my graduation news at dinner. Mom clapped, genuinely pleased. Jared muttered congratulations through a mouthful of Paige's quinoa casserole. But Caleb leaned back in his chair, that familiar smirk playing on his lips. Party time, then, he declared. We'll do it up right. Backyard barbecue, the works. That's not necessary, I said. Nonsense. My stepdaughter getting her little degree. He said, little degree, the way someone might say participation trophy. I knew better than to argue. In Caleb's world, every gesture came with strings, and refusing his generosity would be thrown in my face for months. Later, Valerie stopped by with a gift bag. Early graduation present, she said, pulling out what looked like a decorative pin. It's pretty, I said, examining the small blue butterfly. It's more than pretty. She showed me the tiny lens. Becky, whose husband is into spy gear, she said. It's a camera. Full HD, 2-hour battery, motion activated. Val, I can't. You're not planning anything. You're just documenting your special day for posterity. Her smile was innocent. Her eyes were not. Pin it on your scrubs, your jacket, whatever. You never know when you might want to capture a memory. I should have refused. Should have recognized the weight of what she was handing me, but something, instinct, maybe, or just exhaustion from being gaslit, made me slip it into my pocket. Just in case, I said. Just in case, she agreed. The moving pieces were falling into place with military precision. Mr. Patel confirmed November 1st. The furniture rental company scheduled delivery for that afternoon. My PTO request for moving day was approved. Even the weather forecast looked clear. Meanwhile, life in the Rowan house grew more suffocating. Paige had opinions about everything: how I fed my kids, so much processed food, their screen time. No wonder Miles is so pale, she said, referring to their schedules. Children need structure, Lena. Maybe if you spent less time in those night classes and more time parenting, she suggested one evening while I helped Ava with homework. Maybe if you spent less time judging others and more time minding your own business. I didn't say it. Couldn't say it. Not yet. The basement transformation was complete. Caleb had done the bare minimum: a dehumidifier that wheezed like an asthmatic dragon, 2 space heaters that tripped the breaker if you ran them simultaneously, and a coat of paint that didn't quite cover the water stains. "See? Fresh as a daisy," he announced. "Kids will love it. Like camping every night." Miles developed a cough within 2 days. Ava's clarinet started to rust. I documented everything: photos, videos, even a humidity reading from a borrowed meter, 87%, for the record, textbook mold conditions. "You're being dramatic," Caleb said when I showed him Miles's inhaler usage had doubled. "Fresh air never hurt anyone. Mold spores aren't fresh air." "You calling my work shoddy?" "I'm calling dampness damp." His face darkened. "Watch your tone." I watched it. "All right." Watched it stay steady and calm while inside I counted, 9 days, 8 days, 7. The graduation party planning became Caleb's new project. He invited his construction crew, golf buddies, even the mayor's assistant, a potential client. My celebration had become his networking event. "What about my friends?" I asked. "What friends?" Jared laughed. "You mean those nurses? They can come if they bring dates. Even out the ratio." Mom finalized the menu without asking my preferences. Paige volunteered to make her famous hummus. No one actually liked it. The party for my achievement had nothing to do with me. "It's perfect," I told them, smiling my best customer service smile. "Let them have their show. In 10 days it wouldn't matter." I kept the butterfly pin in my jewelry box, taking it out sometimes to test the battery, check the memory card. Such a small thing to hold such potential power. Valerie had included instructions: 1 button to start recording, another to stop. Simple, innocent, just in case. The rental house keys were cut. The utilities were scheduled for connection. My life was splitting into 2 versions: the one they saw and the one I was building in secret. "You seem different, Mom." "More settled. Just focused on graduation," I said, which wasn't a lie. Graduation was my finish line, just not the way she thought. 3 days before moving day, I did a final walkthrough of the rental. Sun streamed through windows that weren't painted shut. The bedrooms had actual closets, not just hooks on damp walls. The kitchen was small but clean, with no one else's rules taped to the cabinets. "What do you think, Mr. Patel asked. "It's perfect," I said, and meant it. That night, I found Ava crying quietly in the basement. "I hate it here," she whispered. "When can we have our own home again?" "Soon, baby. Very soon. Promise." I pulled her close, inhaling her strawberry shampoo scent. "Promise." 4 days. 4 days until freedom. 4 days until my children could practice instruments and draw zombies and exist without apology. 4 days until I stopped being a disappointment in my stepfather's house and started being a success in my own. I clipped the butterfly pin to my graduation outfit, practicing in the mirror. Such a small thing, such an innocent accessory. Just in case. The backyard glowed with string lights that would have been magical if they weren't illuminating my humiliation. Caleb had outdone himself: catered barbecue, open bar, even a banner reading "Congratulations, Lena" in letters small enough to be missed. I'd pinned the butterfly to my blazer at the last minute, Valerie's words echoing, "For posterity." The weight of it felt like armor. "There's our graduate," Caleb boomed as guests arrived, already 3 beers deep. His construction crew treated the party like a company picnic. Their wives eyed me with the particular pity reserved for women who'd failed at marriage. Miles and Ava huddled near the dessert table, invisible to everyone except when Paige complained they were taking too many cookies. Children need boundaries, she announced to anyone listening. The speeches started after dinner. Mom went first, tearfully proud. Though she spent more time thanking Caleb for opening his home than acknowledging my achievement, Jared managed 2 sentences about how nursing was good, honest work before veering into a story about Hudson's latest milestone. Then Caleb took the microphone. When Lena showed up on our doorstep, he began, and my stomach clenched. Divorced, broke, dragging 2 kids. I thought, what's the point? Another degree. She couldn't even keep a husband with the first one. Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. My face burned. But Evelyn said, family helps family. So, here we are supporting Lena's little hobby. It's not a hobby, the words escaped before I could stop them. It's a profession, a calling. I save children's lives. The yard went silent. Caleb's face darkened like a storm front. Did I ask for commentary? You're giving commentary on my life. Thought it was a discussion. Watch your mouth, or what? I shouldn't have said it. I should have kept quiet, smiled, played the grateful relative for 10 more days. But something about that microphone, that audience, that dismissive sneer. I was done shrinking. Caleb crossed the space between us in 2 strides. You ungrateful, the slap cracked like a gunshot. My head snapped sideways, stars exploding across my vision. Someone gasped. Someone else dropped a beer bottle. Through the ringing in my ears, I heard Mom's voice, Caleb, the neighbors. Not how could you? Not are you okay, Lena? Just concern about appearances. Get out of my sight, Caleb growled, shoving the microphone at Jared. Can't even be grateful. Living under my roof, eating my food. I pay rent, I said quietly, hand pressed to my burning cheek. I buy groceries. I work 60 hours a week. What exactly should I be grateful for? The mold. The basement. The constant reminders that we are unwanted. You want to see unwanted. He stepped closer, finger jabbing at my chest. But something strange happened. His anger suddenly shifted, like remembering the audience. Everyone just enjoy the party, family stuff. Valerie materialized at my elbow. Let's get some ice. As she led me inside, I caught a glimpse of our neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, lowering her phone. Her Ring doorbell blinked steadily from across the fence line. In the kitchen, Valerie checked my face with professional hands. That's going to bruise. We need to document this. Val, no. This is assault in front of witnesses. She positioned me under the light, taking photos with her phone. That piece of junk just gave you everything you need. Through the window, I watched Caleb working the crowd, laughing too loud, refilling drinks, playing the gracious host. Mom fluttered around him, smoothing over the incident with promises of dessert. The camera, I whispered. Valerie's eyes widened. Holy crap. Did it? I touched the butterfly pin. Still there. Still recording. We need to leave, she said. Now? My car. My kids. Text your mom. Emergency at the hospital. Get them later. As we gathered my things, Jared cornered me by the door. You always do this, he hissed. Make everything about you. It's Hudson's first autumn. Paige is stressed. And you're starting drama at family events. He hit me. You provoked him. You always provoke him. Maybe if you showed some respect. Maybe if he showed some humanity. Jared's face twisted. 6 years he's put up with your attitude. Most stepfathers would have kicked you out day one. Most stepfathers don't assault their adult stepdaughters at graduation parties. Assault. God, you're dramatic. It was a corrective tap. A corrective tap like I was a malfunctioning appliance. In the car, Valerie drove straight to the ER. We are getting this documented properly. Every bruise, every mark, it's just a slap. It's battery, and we have it on camera. She glanced at the butterfly pin. Plus whatever Mrs. Patterson caught, plus my phone video from inside. You were recording. The moment he took that mic, I hit record. Something in his tone. She shook her head. 20 years of nursing. You develop radar for abusive. The ER was quiet for a Saturday. The triage nurse took one look at my face and fast-tracked us through photos, forms, ice packs. A social worker, who spoke in gentle tones about resources and options. I'm moving out in 4 days, I told her. Already have a place. Good, she said. But this changes things. You need protection, legal documentation. Have you considered filing a report? 2 hours ago, I would have said no. I would have worried about family drama, Mom's tears, Caleb's rage. But sitting under those fluorescent lights, holding an ice pack to my face while my graduation party continued without me, something crystallized. Yes, I said. I want to file a report. The officer who came was young, thorough, and kind. She took my statement, collected the nurse's documentation, wrote down witness information. When I mentioned the videos, her eyes sharpened. Multiple angles. That's excellent evidence. Valerie helped me download the butterfly cam footage in her car. We watched it together on her phone, Caleb's approach, the slap, the shove, all in perfect HD clarity, even capturing the audio of Mom worrying about neighbors instead of her daughter. It's textbook, the officer said after viewing it. Clear assault with prior. No prior. He's careful, usually. Well, he wasn't careful tonight. By the time we finished at the station, it was past midnight. Valerie drove me to her apartment. You're not going back there tonight. Your kids are asleep safe. You get them tomorrow with police escort, if needed. I sat on her couch, still in my graduation outfit, the butterfly pin weighing heavy on my lapel. My phone buzzed with texts. Mom, where are you? Caleb feels terrible. Too much to drink. Jared, real mature, running off. Kids asking for you. Caleb, we need to talk, man to woman. I turned off the phone. You did the right thing, Valerie said, handing me tea. Did I really? All I ever wanted was to finish school quietly, slip away unnoticed, and start over. Instead, I ended up exposing everything on camera, making sure there was no turning back. But maybe that's what needed to happen. Maybe some bridges are meant to burn. The butterfly pin sat on Valerie's coffee table, innocent as a keepsake. Inside its memory card was everything, proof that I wasn't crazy, wasn't dramatic, wasn't the difficult daughter they'd painted me as. Just a woman who'd finally had enough, and a camera that saw it all. The emergency room's fluorescent lights had revealed what the party's string lights had hidden, a perfect handprint blooming purple across my left cheek. The nurse documented everything. Measurements, photographs from multiple angles, detailed notes about tenderness and swelling. You're lucky, she said. Not unkindly. No orbital fracture, but this bruising pattern, textbook defensive evidence. Lucky. I stored that word next to all the others I'd collected, dramatic, ungrateful, difficult. By morning, Valerie had assembled a war council in her living room. Mara Quinn arrived first, a civil attorney with steel grey hair and sharper eyes. Then Officer Rodriguez, who'd taken my report. Finally, a victim's advocate named Derek, who specialized in family violence cases. Let's review what we have. Mara spread papers across the coffee table like battle plans. Video from your camera showing clear assault, your friend's phone footage, the neighbor's ring doorbell. Mrs. Patterson already sent the file. Officer Rodriguez confirmed. Shows the entire interaction from a different angle. Audio's crystal clear. Medical documentation from last night. Witness statements from 3-party guests who've already come forward. Assault is assault. Family doesn't get a free pass to violence. Mara's voice was firm. The emergency protective order was granted within hours. 72 hours of legally mandated distance while we prepared the permanent restraining order petition. The judge, a woman with kind eyes and no patience for excuses, watched the butterfly cam footage once. Granted, she said. Sheriff will serve papers immediately. Everything moved at lightning speed. By noon, I was back at the house with Officer Rodriguez and her partner, packing our essentials while Caleb was at church with Mom, playing the repentant stepfather. No doubt. 10 minutes, Rodriguez said. Grab what you need. I flew through the basement, throwing clothes, medications, school supplies into garbage bags, Miles's sketchbooks, Ava's sheet music, the folder with our important documents I'd hidden behind the water heater. Mom, Ava stood at the top of the stairs, still in pajamas. Are we leaving? Yes, baby. Right now. Get your brother. No questions, no protests, just relief flooding her face as she ran for Miles. We were loading the car when Mom's Mercedes pulled into the driveway. She emerged first, her face crumbling when she saw the police cars. Caleb followed, his expression cycling through surprise, rage, then careful blankness when he saw the officers. Lena, what is this? Mom's voice pitched high. We can talk about this. Family doesn't, Mr. Rowan, Officer Rodriguez stepped forward. I have papers for you. The next part blurred, Caleb's face when he read the protective order. Mom's tears. Jared's truck screeching up. Paige calling me selfish for traumatizing Hudson with police presence. The neighbors watching from windows. This is overblown, Caleb told the officers, voice reasonable. Family disagreement, a few drinks, emotions running high. You know how women get. Rodriguez's expression didn't change. Sir, you need to maintain distance as specified in the order. That includes no contact through third parties. You're destroying this family, Mom sobbed. Over what? A misunderstanding. I touched my bruised cheek. Misunderstandings don't leave marks. Mom, I started. But criminal charges. Lena, think about his reputation. His business. Did he think about my face when he hit it? The ride to Valerie's was silent except for Miles asking quietly, are we safe now? Yes, I said. We are safe. That afternoon, Mara filed the civil suit, medical expenses, lost wages from missed shifts, pain and suffering, punitive damages. He wants to play stupid games, she said. Let him win stupid prizes. The criminal case moved forward simultaneously. The DA's office, reviewing the evidence, upgraded charges from simple assault to assault and battery. The video evidence removed any question of intent or severity. Mr. Rowan's attorney is requesting a meeting, the ADA told me. Seems they want to discuss plea options. Already. When you have HD video from multiple angles. Yeah, already. Valerie's apartment became command central. My kids did homework at her kitchen table while I fielded calls from attorneys, advocates, investigators. Every agency took it seriously, too much evidence to dismiss, too public to bury. The moving truck is still coming tomorrow. Valerie asked that night. I'd forgotten in the chaos. Our carefully planned moving day had become an afterthought. I'll call Mr. Patel. No, you stick to the plan. This doesn't derail your life, it accelerates it. She was right. The restraining order meant Caleb couldn't come within 100 yards of me or the kids. Moving forward wasn't just possible, it was protected by law. That night, I sat with Miles and Ava on Valerie's couch, finally explaining what came next. We are still moving to our new house, I said. Tuesday, just like planned. But now we don't have to sneak. We can take everything that's ours. What about Grandma? Ava asked. Grandma made her choice. She chose to protect Caleb instead of us. Will we ever see her again? I pulled them close. Maybe when she's ready to have a relationship without Caleb controlling it, but that's her journey, not ours. Miles looked at his sketchpad where he'd drawn our new house from memory. 3 bedrooms, a yard, windows that opened. I'm glad he hit you, he said quietly. Miles, not like that. I mean, now everyone knows. Now they can't pretend anymore. My 10-year-old son had articulated what I'd been struggling to understand. The slap hadn't been the beginning of the abuse, just the evidence that made it undeniable. My phone buzzed with another text from Mom, please reconsider. Caleb's losing contracts. Is that what you want? I thought about all the times I'd stayed quiet, all the insults swallowed, all the moments I'd made myself smaller to keep the peace. Yes, I typed back. That's exactly what I want. Then I blocked her number. Tomorrow we'd sign papers, move forward with prosecution, build our case brick by legal brick. But tonight, my children were safe, eating pizza on Valerie's couch, making plans for their new bedrooms. The bruise on my face would fade. The video would not. And somewhere across town, Caleb Rowan was learning what happened when you hit someone who refused to stay down. Caleb Rowan had built his reputation on handshake deals and good old boy networks. Harborline Construction wasn't just his company, it was his identity. Wrapped in flannel and steel-toed boots, which made the city contract for the Riverside Park renovation his crowning achievement. $23 million over 3 years, Mara read from her laptop screen. Biggest public works project in the county. Signed 6 months ago. So standard municipal contracts include morality clauses, Section 47B specifically. She smiled like a shark scenting blood. Any criminal conviction related to violence, fraud, or moral turpitude is grounds for immediate termination. I leaned forward. He hasn't been convicted yet. But arrest triggers review protocols. And with video evidence this clear. She pulled up another document. The City Council meets Thursday. Public comment period starts at 7. You want me to speak? I want the truth to speak. Your presence is just punctuation. Derek had been building a different kind of case. Caleb's got a pattern, he said, spreading papers across Valerie's table. No arrests, but there's history. Former secretary filed an EOC complaint 5 years ago. Settled quietly. Subcontractor accused him of shoving during a payment dispute. Also settled. How do you know this? Public records and some very talkative former employees. Seems your stepfather made enemies who've been waiting for someone to go first. The moving truck came and went without incident. Our new house smelled like fresh paint and possibility. While the kids arranged their rooms, Ava hanging string lights, Miles taping up his rescued sketches, I fielded calls from reporters. No comment became my refrain. Let the video speak. Let the bruises talk. Let the legal filings do their work. But Caleb couldn't stay quiet. His lawyer, some country club buddy, made the rounds claiming a family dispute blown out of proportion, an ambitious woman seeking a payday. They might have gained traction, except Channel 7 got the ring footage. Valerie called Tuesday night. Brace yourself. The news segment was clinical, local contractor charged with assault following graduation party incident. They pixelated my face, but showed the slap in slow motion. The sound echoed through our new living room. Mom, Miles stood in the doorway. You okay? Yeah, baby. Just documentation doing its job. By Wednesday, 3 more former employees had contacted Derek. By Thursday morning, Harborline's bonding company was reassessing their relationship. The city council meeting was packed, standing room only. Caleb sat in the front row, wearing his best suit and wounded expression. I sat in the back with Mara, wearing my scrubs, straight from a shift, saving actual children. Agenda item 12, the mayor announced. Review of Riverside Park renovation contract compliance. The city attorney went first, dry recitation of facts, arrest records, contract terms, timeline of events. Then they played the video on the overhead screen. You could hear a pin drop. Public comment. I wasn't the first to stand. Mrs. Patterson, our former neighbor, beat me to the microphone. I've lived next door to the Rowans for 15 years, she began. That wasn't the first time I've seen Caleb lose his temper. Just the first time someone caught it on camera. A subcontractor spoke next, then a former secretary. Story after story of intimidation, threats, carefully applied pressure that stopped just short of prosecutable. When my turn came, I kept it simple. I'm a pediatric nurse, I said. I teach children that hitting is wrong, that adults use words, that violence is never the answer. What message does it send if the man who hit me continues to profit from public funds? Caleb's lawyer spoke last, all smooth words about rehabilitation and second chances. About how one mistake shouldn't destroy a local business. One mistake. Councilwoman Martinez interrupted. Councillor, we've heard from 7 individuals tonight. That's a pattern, not a mistake. The vote was unanimous. Contract suspended pending criminal case resolution, with termination triggers clearly outlined. 23 million evaporating like morning mist. In the parking lot, Caleb waited by my car. Derek and Officer Rodriguez flanked me immediately. We'd anticipated this. Proud of yourself? His voice was raw. 40 years building that company. 40 years was a good run, I said. Some people don't get 4 minutes after they're hit. You vindictive little, Rodriguez stepped forward. The restraining order specifies, I know what it specifies. But he backed up, hands raised, the cameras from Channel 7 catching every moment. This isn't over. You're right, Mara said smoothly. The civil suit is just beginning. Discovery should be fascinating. His face went white. Discovery meant financial records, depositions. Every sketchy deal and hidden asset dragged into daylight. That night, Mom called from an unknown number. The house is in foreclosure, she sobbed. Caleb took second mortgages for the business without the city contract. Mom, I can't. You could drop the charges. Say it was a misunderstanding. He'll apologize. Go to counseling, please. Lena, I'll lose everything. I thought about all the times she'd chosen him. All the moments she'd watched him diminish us and said nothing. All the opportunities to protect her grandchildren that she'd traded for his approval. You already lost everything, Mom. You just haven't noticed yet. The criminal trial was set for January. The civil suit would follow, but Caleb's professional world crumbled in real time. Bonding company pulled coverage, credit lines frozen, suppliers demanding cash up front. Pride girth before a fall, Valerie said, watching the local news cover his bankruptcy filing. Price girth before the fall, Mara corrected. 23 million makes for quite a crater. Miles and Ava were thriving in their new rooms, their new schools, their new life where no one told them they were too loud or too much. The bruise on my face had faded to yellow-green, but the camera footage remained crystal clear. Caleb had built his kingdom on the assumption that power meant never facing consequences, that family secrets stayed secret, that women who needed shelter wouldn't bite the hand that grudgingly fed them. He'd assumed wrong, and the beautiful butterfly pin that caught it all. I had it framed, displayed on my desk next to my BSN diploma, a reminder that sometimes the smallest things carry the most weight. Sometimes all it takes is pressing record. The courthouse smelled like old paper and disappointment. January rain drummed against tall windows as we filed into courtroom 3B. Caleb sat at the defendant's table, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. 3 months of lost contracts had carved hollows in his cheeks. All rise. Judge Catherine Reeves took the bench with the gravity of someone who'd seen every excuse humanity could manufacture. The prosecutor, Ada Sarah Chen, laid out the case with surgical precision. Your Honor, we'll be presenting video evidence from 3 separate sources, medical documentation, and witness testimony. Caleb's lawyer, a public defender now, his country club buddy having fled when the retainer ran dry, tried to paint a picture of a hard-working man overwhelmed by family stresses. Then they played the video on the courtroom's large screen in high definition. Caleb crossed the yard. His hand rose, connected. The sound of the slap echoed off marble walls. Several jury members flinched. Defense's claim of accidental contact, the judge asked dryly. We maintain it was a gesture gone wrong. Counselor, I have eyes. The neighbor's ring footage played next, showing the wider angle, then Valerie's phone video from inside, catching the aftermath. Each piece of evidence stacked like bricks in a wall Caleb couldn't climb. When I took the stand, Sarah kept it simple. Ms. Hart, why were you recording your graduation party? My friend gave me the camera pin, as a gift to capture memories from my special day. Did you expect to capture this? I expected to capture my mother's pride, my children's smiles, maybe a few congratulations. I met Caleb's eyes. I didn't expect to need evidence. Cross-examination was brief. What could they argue? That I'd manipulated him into hitting me. That I'd strategically positioned myself for optimal camera angles. No further questions, the defender muttered. Witness after witness took the stand. The ER nurse, Officer Rodriguez, 3 party guests who'd found courage in the months since. Each testimony another nail. The defense calls Evelyn Rowan. My mother looked fragile on the stand, clutching tissues like lifelines. Under questioning, she painted Caleb as a devoted husband who'd made one terrible mistake under immense pressure from an ungrateful stepdaughter. Mrs. Rowan, Sarah's voice was gentle steel. Were you concerned for your daughter's safety after witnessing the assault? It wasn't, Caleb would never really hurt, that's not what I asked. Were you concerned? Mom's eyes darted to Caleb, then to me, then to her lap. I was concerned about the family staying together. Over your daughter's physical safety. Silence stretched like taffy. The jury deliberated for 47 minutes. Guilty of misdemeanor assault and battery. Caleb's face went grey as the judge read the sentence. 6 months suspended, 2 years probation, 200 hours community service, mandatory anger management, and stay-away orders for me and the children. Additionally, Judge Reeves continued, this conviction triggers review of any professional licenses and contracts. But we weren't done. The civil trial came 3 weeks later. Different courtroom, same evidence, plus new revelations. Discovery had been enlightening, hidden accounts, diverted funds, a pattern of financial abuse I'd never seen. Your client paid himself rent for the basement where Ms. Hart's children lived, Mara announced, producing receipts, while telling her she was living there free. The judgment was comprehensive: medical expenses, lost wages, pain and suffering, punitive damages, legal fees. The number made Caleb's lawyer request a recess. During the break, Jared cornered me in the hallway. "Happy now? You've destroyed him." "He destroyed himself," I said. "I just refuse to be collateral damage." Mom's losing the house. Her whole life. The life built on looking away. That life. I straightened my shoulders. She chose that house over her grandchildren's safety. Choices have consequences. You're heartless. No, I'm done. There's a difference. The final amount awarded was more than Harbourline's remaining assets. Insurance covered some, but Caleb would be paying for years. The check I received 2 months later went straight into college funds and therapy for the kids. The real victory came in smaller moments: Miles joining art club without fear of mockery, Ava playing clarinet in the spring concert without apology, me graduating with my BSN, and getting promoted to charge nurse. No longer shrinking from success. I heard Caleb was working at Home Depot. Valerie mentioned one day, "Jared's running what's left of the company." I felt nothing for Mom, no satisfaction, no pity, just the clean emptiness where toxic relationships used to live. Mom reached out once through a lawyer. "Would you consider modifying the restraining order to allow supervised visits with the grandchildren? When she's ready to have a relationship without Caleb, we can talk," I replied. "But that means actually leaving him, not just meeting us at McDonald's while he waits in the car." She never responded. The butterfly pin sits in my jewelry box now, retired from active duty. Sometimes I take it out, remembering that night when everything changed. The night I thought would be my lowest became my turning point. "Do you regret it?" my therapist asked once. How it all played out. I thought about quiet dinners in our peaceful home, about my children's laughter no longer muted by fear, about waking up without calculating which version of myself would cause the least conflict. "I regret it took me so long," I said. "I regret my kids saw what they saw, but the rest, the consequences he faced." I smiled, thinking of his hand rising at my graduation party, never knowing 3 cameras caught every second. He wrote that check himself. I just made sure it cleared. The restraining order stands for 5 more years. The civil judgment follows him longer. But in our little house by the hospital, none of that matters anymore. We are free. We are safe. And if anyone raises a hand to us again, well, I've gotten very good at documentation. The morning we returned to collect our remaining belongings, 6 months after that graduation night, the house looked smaller. Officer Daniels accompanied us. Standard procedure for restraining order property retrieval. Caleb's truck was gone, but Mom's car sat in the driveway like a memorial to choices made. 15 minutes, Daniels reminded me. In and out. Mom answered the door in yesterday's clothes, her face puffy with tears or wine or both. She looked through me like I was a ghost haunting her perfect family narrative. "The basement," I said. "Just what's left." She stepped aside without words. The house smelled different, stale coffee and abandonment where once there'd been home-cooked meals, organic cooking, and baby powder. The refrigerator, I noticed, was covered in foreclosure notices where my children's art once hung. In the basement, water stains had spread like accusations across the walls. Our abandoned furniture huddled in corners, growing mold like the resentment that had lived here. I grabbed photo albums, birth certificates, the jewelry box my grandmother had left me, things too precious to leave, but too painful to take that first night. 5 minutes, Daniels called down. I turned to find Mom on the stairs, blocking my path. For a moment, old fear flickered, then died. She was just a woman who'd chosen comfort over conscience. Nothing more. Your rules, I said quietly. Your boundaries, your consequences. She opened her mouth, closed it, stepped aside. If you ever decide you want your daughter more than you want his approval, I continued, you have my lawyer's number. But it's both of us or neither. No negotiations. He's my husband, she whispered. And I'm your daughter, I replied, was, anyway. The last thing I took was a small framed photo from the kitchen. Not of us, but of my kids at last year's Christmas, before everything imploded. In it, they are laughing at something off camera, unguarded and genuine. I'd forgotten we'd ever been happy in this house, even briefly. Outside, neighbors pretended not to watch. Mrs. Patterson gave a small wave from her garden. I waved back, grateful still for her camera and courage. All done? Officer Daniels asked. Yes, all done. The drive back to our house felt like crossing from black and white into color. Ava had hung a welcome home banner across the porch. Not because we'd been gone, but because every day now felt like a homecoming. Get everything? Miles asked, looking up from his sketch pad. Everything that mattered. That evening, as I helped Ava with math homework and Miles drew at the kitchen table, my phone buzzed. Unknown number, but I recognized the voice immediately. Don't hang up, Jared said quickly. I'm not calling for him or her. I'm calling because. A long pause. Because you were right. I stepped onto the back porch, watching fireflies dance in our small yard. Paige left, he continued. Took Hudson, said she couldn't raise him in that environment, the violence, the anger. She said she kept thinking about that night, how everyone just accepted it. I'm sorry, I said, and meant it. Not sorry for their marriage, that was their journey. But sorry it took losing his own family for Jared to see what I'd seen. I found papers, he said. Dad's been hiding money from Mom. Gambling debts. The house isn't the bank's. It's going to creditors. She doesn't even know. You have to tell her. I did. She said I was being dramatic. That I should mind my own business. His laugh was bitter. Sound familiar? It did. God, it did. The offer stands, I said. She can have a relationship with us, but only without him. She'll never leave. You know that, right? She'll go down with that ship, blaming everyone but the captain who steered it into the rocks. After we hung up, I sat on the porch until the stars came out somewhere across town. My mother was learning what I'd learned. That enabling violence makes you complicit. That choosing an abuser means losing the abused. That some bridges, once burned, leave only ash. But in my kitchen, light spilled warm through windows. Miles was teaching Ava to draw faces, patient with her frustration, the dishwasher hummed. Normal sounds of a normal life, earned through extraordinary pain. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text from an unknown number. This is Paige. Could we talk? Woman to woman, I need to know how you got out, how you stayed out, how you kept your kids safe. I typed back, coffee tomorrow. Neutral location. Bring Hudson. My kids would love to see him. Because that's what we do. We extend our hands back to pull the next one up. We share our escape routes. We prove it's possible to choose differently, live differently, love differently. The butterfly pin lives in my jewelry box now, nestled between my grandmother's pearls and my father's class ring. Sometimes I take it out, hold it to the light. Remember, such a small thing to carry such weight, such an innocent gift to become such powerful evidence. But that's how change happens, isn't it? Not in grand gestures or dramatic declarations, but in small acts of courage, in pressing record, in refusing to be silent, in walking away even when they call you heartless for having the audacity to protect your heart. My children sleep safely tonight in rooms painted the colors they chose. Tomorrow I'll work a shift saving other people's children, then come home to mine. No one will tell us we are too loud. No one will make us small. And if they try, well, I've learned to keep batteries charged just in case, because respect isn't begged for. Respect requires boundaries. And sometimes those boundaries need to be recorded in high definition.